think we can always raise 4.
The
Okay.
regulars.
It's 9:02. I need to find a, there we go.
And the TV's going.
Okay, everything going? All right. Call the meeting to order, 9:02. Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Roll call is, what do we have? I know Mike is not here. We have Doug and Ted and Kathy and Sam. Mike is excused. And it's possible they might show up.
Bob? No,
Bob?
that's Mike, hold on. Bob Beasley emailed as well that he would not be able to make this meeting.
Okay, so we didn't hear from Greg. And maybe, okay. Okay. Public comment? Welcome, public. 3 minutes. Sam, do you want a time?
Tell me when.
Go ahead.
Go. Larry Abramoff, 195 Tropical Shores. I'm representing the Fort Myers Beach Tropical Shores Neighborhood and Benevolent Association, and we're trying to find out the status, any information that any of the advisory committee staff or counselors have regarding the process and what's going on with the upland facility location decision. Thank you.
Any other public comment? Thank you. Approval of minutes from March 16th, 2002.
22?
22. 20 years ago. Okay. Anybody have any approval of minutes? Do we have a motion?
Sam Lurie, I motion we approve of the minutes.
Is there a second?
I'll make a second.
Thank you, Doug. Any discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? Everybody okay? Ted?
Okay.
Okay, just want to make sure. Before we go ahead with staff report, I do want to thank Chelsea O'Reilly and acknowledge that she is moving on to a new position. We're going to miss you a lot in our committee, and I really want to thank you for all of your hard work on behalf of us and the mooring field, but on behalf of the town as well, and I hope that you're excited about your new position and wish you well for that.
I really appreciate that, thank
Yep.
you.
And Jason, we'll look forward to working again with you. We've kind of worked with you before, so happy to have you with us.
Perfect segue for me.
Okay.
Chelsea O'Reilly, Public Works Director. My last day will be May 4th, and it has been a pleasure working with you all over the years. I know there's been many challenges, and there's still a lot of potential, I feel, for the mooring field and for this island. And Jason could not ask for a better successor. Trained him myself. No. As you guys may recall, Jason used to be the admin for Public Works. So the last year and a half, 2 years, he's been serving as the contracts manager / deputy clerk for the town. So he, although he's in a different position, we have had a very close working relationship with all of the contracts. So he's really up to speed with those. We're working over the next, couple weeks to get him up to speed with the rest of the projects that are ongoing. I think this will be a very smooth transition, and you guys will be in great hands. Austin will still remain as the harbor master down at the harbor office, but there's, like I said, there's a lot of potential moving forward on this island, specifically with regards to the mooring field. So I'll kind of let Jason just do a quick intro, and then we actually have another meeting we have to jump out to. Austin did provide a written report for an update for you all, which was provided in your packet. And then, of course, the Public Works Department, as with all other departments, puts out a monthly report which I believe gets posted on the website that Jenny does. You can always stay up to speed with anything that's going on within each department, month to month through those monthly reports. I'm here till May 4th. If you have any questions, I'll just give one quick note that the pilings for the expansion are going in today, as well as the signage, because we want to get it posted and start to notify the public that that will be a future mooring field area. So with that, Jason?
May the 4th be with you.
Yes. They threatened to throw a star trek party, going away party, so.
Jason Freeman, for the record, just wanted to introduce myself to you if I have not met you already or worked with you, but like Chelsea said, just getting up to speed on everything. I know I've worked with a lot of you before when I was helping Chelsea, so if you guys have any questions or input, feel free to send them my way too. Chelsea luckily is here for at least a little bit more time, so we're just getting up to speed on everything, and between both of us, we'll be as responsive as we can. So looking forward to working with everybody.
All right, thank you.
Before you guys leave, I do want to throw out there on the strategic plan review, we're still waiting for all the updates that we put in.
I believe that was distributed in an email. If it's not, okay, well, I'll get that. Actually, what we'll do today is I'll have Jason distribute it to you all, so you have his email and his contact information.
Yep.
But we did get everything up to speed. Randy tackled that, I think, last week.
Yeah, all the stuff that we were going to put into it.
Yes.
I didn't receive a copy, I did, of the strategic plan review.
I did not.
We'll get it to you today, and
Okay.
then you can have Jason's
Great.
contact information.
Perfect.
Are you coming back to the meeting? You're done for today.
We've got a couple other meetings we have to run to, so I apologize. Is there any questions that anybody may have in the interim?
Good
If not, you know where to find me. You've got my email, my contact information. Jason will be taking over my extension, so. But
Oh, okay, on the
you'll-
phone extension?
Yes, ma'am, and then you'll have his email here, and then by noon, so.
All right.
right.
Well, I'll keep some notes. If we have anything, then I can just forward questions to you.
All right, thank
you
you
all.
very, very much.
This is unknown territory for us,
I know.
not to have a staff here.
I know.
Guidance will be missed.
Yee, we can go off the rails or whatever here. Okay. Then, we are on, then the staff report, she said the pilings are going in for the signage, I would guess that means. Everybody have a copy of Austin's report? Do you have one, Roxanne?
Yes, I do.
Okay. Well, I thought I'd just go through it for the record quickly. I did read through it at home because it was sent out. Mooring Field has been 100% occupied and 30 vehicles or vessels on the wait list. Staff has met with citizens to discuss the purchase of the property behind Town Hall. Vending machine procedures have been established. Not sure what that means. If that's the vending, I guess it must be in the office and whatnot. Survey of repairs, south end for the seagrass area.
Probably signage, maybe?
Yeah,
Yeah.
Yep.
There's signs missing down there.
yep, okay. Buoy quotes requested from providers for the others, like the seagrass, the yellow buoys, and those kinds of things. Staff continued system cleaning. Systems 1 through 45 have been inspected and cleaned. And that's one of the things we should probably here request. Remember, a year or two ago, we got kind of an updated graph of where the systems were. So I will request that we could get that again. Do you remember that, Ted?
That was a good report.
Doug, we had a report buoy by buoy, and it had like green, yellow, red, what kind of conditions they were in and what repairs had been done. So I think I'll request that again. I'll go through my, my files and try to find it, and maybe send it so they know what I'm talking about. Staff responded to 2 water hazards. There's a new pickup truck was purchased for the Maritime Division usage. Recent storms had 1 vessel go into the mangroves behind the Mound House, and another vessel sank. Reported 1 dinghy washed into residential docks. A vessel abandoned in the mooring field is being prepared for removal and anchoring. Staff responded to residents' complaints of a houseboat illegally docked at a property. Staff assisted in multiple boater issues. Staff assisted in removal and anchoring of one vessel whose lease is no longer renewable in the field. Is this the one that we've had for a long time? Perhaps. New hires continued to train. Staff is currently conducting a fob inventory. Anybody have any questions or anything that we should ask Jason or Chelsea? Other than I'm going to request the inspection report. I should probably make notes in a better place here. So, anything more on staff report? Any questions that you want? No, I guess. Request, report of inspections. Mooring inspections. Okay. Let's move on to strategic plan review, and we just requested an updated copy of the strategic plan with all of our changes and revisions. So I will make sure we get that. Okay. Plan. Cruisers Appreciation Day. Doug, you missed a good party.
Yeah, I'm sorry. I had a business meeting came up, I couldn't.
I sent out a financial comparison that you should have this sheet that I started comparing in year 3, that gave the number of boats, the people that we gave, the people on the boats, no, the people we gave tickets to. And the tickets given, ticket sales, because we used to have to sell tickets for everything, for drink and food, and our raffle and revenue loss, which really didn't apply this year, so I didn't put it in there. We had 32 boats, which actually, when you look at the comparison, I guess it was the most boats we've had no, it wasn't. In 2012, we had 34. But it was about what we've had. And I put an asterisk by 64 persons because in the past several years, we've given tickets to 4 people on a boat. But this year, we gave 2. So that's why it has an asterisk by the 64. But when you look at the people, it actually isn't, that much. I mean, some of the years where we were giving 4 tickets to people, there were less people. So it was kind of interesting in that given. The raffle did very well, made $360. So I was trying to get some updates from Chelsea because she claimed that we paid for 100 meals, but we shouldn't have. We should have only paid for 73 meals because we gave away nine tickets.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know what happened with all of the accounting for if we got a refund, all of that. So that's something I need to follow up with her about, whatever happened with that. We paid for 140 meals off the top, and I think, obviously this was the first time that we'd done this. We probably should have, with this comparison chart, we should probably not pay for that many in the future if we decide to do this again, and then have a system by which we can pay for extras if we need to.
As a footnote, they ran out of food
And they ran out of food.
way before 100 people.
Yeah. Well, my fear is, in fact, I know, and I expressed this to, I wrote to Chelsea that the procedure was we were supposed to give the tickets, and they were supposed to take a ticket for the meals that we were paying for, and then it was open to the public to buy meals. And they were pretty lax about keeping track of the tickets. There was a jug sitting right outside the window that had tickets in it, that somebody could go in and get a ticket and give it. And my fear is that they just gave away 100 meals, that whoever came up to the window got a free meal. And that's not the way it was supposed to run.
And not sure what happened to the leftovers we paid for that were supposed to go to town hall either, to, even though it
Right.
was a weekend, it was supposed to go.
Because they were out of food. So even if we paid for 100 meals, or there were 100 meals, because I asked that question, I said, did you count 100 tickets? And I never got that information either, that we were supposed to only, in the past, when we were selling tickets and with Matanzas, they would count the tickets, we would count the money, and we came to an understanding. And you should always have more money than tickets. But I never got the answer that anybody in town counted the tickets, or they just took the word of the food truck. So I'm gonna need to follow up on all of that with Chelsea to find out where we stand. She was gonna see about a refund. We should have at least gotten a refund for 40 meals, at least. But I have this fear that they charged us for meals that we should not have. I mean, it sounds like we got charged for meals that we shouldn't have been paid.
I think we were taking advantage of, I mean, they were out of the side dish of coleslaw at 2 o'clock. The event was from 1 to 5, and people did get there on time, but they were out of coleslaw for the side dish at 2 o'clock. Before 3 o'clock, they were out of pork, which was 5 out of the 7 items on their menu.
Yeah.
So they were down to the chicken nuggets, which she said, well, we have no way of knowing they serve less than 100 meals. She said, well, there's no way of knowing how many are gonna want. Too many people wanted the barbecue and not the nuggets, but I find that hard to believe. But we'll do it better for next year.
Yeah. Well, I will get some follow-up, because we need some staff follow-up on what happened with a refund,
And the leftovers.
leftovers, if we didn't get a refund, and 100 meals versus 74 meals that we should have
There were
paid
not
for.
that many public people there. I don't think.
No, there were a few.
There were a couple.
There
that
were a
came with
few,
people.
and our event has always been open to the public. It's always been advertised that way. So we have to do it that way. But we need to have a better system for that. And we were very careful with the tickets behind the desk. And so, unless somebody had a roll of pink tickets running around there, which I don't think. So, we will do a follow-up on that, and any,
Yeah, I just wanted to say thanks for writing the articles to the paper. The thank you note was really good that it included the people that contributed to the raffle. That was nice to do it because they see their name in the paper, and I already got one comment that, thanks for putting our name in the paper for putting it.
for your information, I put a letter to the editor in the Observer the next week, thanking everybody that was involved.
Yeah, that was good.
But I also sent, I sent personal thank you notes as well to all of the people. Here they are, and they're really nice looking, actually, cards.
We need to change one address that,
Oh, did it come back?
no, it ended up in the wrong place, but I got it.
Oh,
It came obviously from your previous
okay.
address instead of the one I sent you.
Oh, okay. Sorry. They got it, though.
Yeah, well, yes, I
Hopefully.
delivered it.
Well, and I hand-delivered to Nervous Nellies because that one's come back all the time. I think they have a post office box, but if you send it to the street address, and I put AAC on it, and I haven't had anybody tell me that it came back to town hall or anything, so, anyway.
Very nice.
So I've done that every year, but I did want to let you know that I did that. So, any other comments? Overall, I think it was a successful event, and
The location worked
the
out
location
fine.
was terrific.
Yeah, it worked out really good. A lot of shade, plenty of room.
Yep. We had plenty of room. I was a little concerned that there wouldn't be enough room for the Murph tent and our tent and the food, but there was plenty of room. And, I think with some tweaking, I wouldn't be unhappy that we would think about doing it again. So the one thing we did talk about doing was like a happy hour thing, and we were talked out of it because it was going to be dark. And then I realized that we'd had to change to daylight savings time, and we would have been fine having a 5 to 7 event. I think we don't need to do it 1 to 5. I think it was too long because we ended up almost leaving at 4.
When did most of the people come? When did?
They came right away. In fact, some of them were there before we were even ready to go because it started at 1.
The event was
And-
over. at
And we
4.
were over by 4, and people stayed till 4 because we'd made the announcement we were doing the second raffle. I think people might have left before that if we hadn't done the second raffle at 4. So that's something to think about. I think, well, always before it was noon to 3, I think, and that was really a nice amount of time.
3
3
hours is
hours
probably
was
gonna be
plenty. So I think we need to go back to that. Because I saw in the contract, we actually paid the food wagon extra money to stay.
Yeah.
So I'm not sure how we got to that. Anyway, there we go. All right, so Harbor Management Plan Review. Did everybody get a copy of the management plan?
Believe so.
Freshwood?
Well, we were emailed one, I mean, in our things for today. And then she just brought out a fresh one for me, which I'm not sure why. But do you guys have something to work off of, or did you take a look at it?
I didn't.
There's a whole bunch of new stuff in it. Some of the things that we talked about at our last meeting, but there's other new stuff in it too that needs to be discussed. I have a clean copy. I got a clean copy of it, and I had to go back and use what we worked on before. And the one that she sent out in our packets, which had all the formatting, and it has red stuff and blue stuff in it. And, I mean, I think everybody really needs to get a printed copy like this and go back and really look at it. If you haven't done it, I don't know that we can really work on it, because we need to work on it as a group.
I don't have a crossed out one. I just have the one that I've been making notes on.
Okay. Do you have this one that is,
I do not have that one.
this is the one that was sent out electronically,
Oh, I probably did.
that you would have gotten in the packets?
I didn't print it, but I may pick up I don't have a color printer, so.
Well,
probably
you
with the
can,
changes.
I can give you this, I have it. I mean, I have it and it has all my notes on it. I'm not sure how much real good it's gonna do for us to go through this today.
Well, we made it almost to the end last time.
Well,
Are the changes that we made in the fresh copy?
in this new copy?
Yeah.
Some of them are, and some of them aren't, and then there's also new stuff that somebody put in that we didn't discuss.
I do have a color copy that's dated February 3rd.
Okay, everybody should have gotten in their packet this copy, which is amended June 2022. And it's got red stuff and it's got blue stuff. And I think, what I think you need to do is you need to get this printed off for you and then go through it.
And how was it amended in June of 2022?
Somebody,
It's for that, okay.
somebody has stars in their eyes that we're gonna be finished by June 2022, I think. Well, I got a clean copy, and I have a clean copy here too, and I got a clean copy, but the problem with this clean copy is it doesn't have the changes. So you can't really compare where we were, what we're making. And so you need to get this format, this one that's all format. This is the one that was sent out to us in the packet.
And they just formatted with the,
It's got all the formatted stuff. So I think everybody needs to get one of these printed out for them with all the formatting stuff. I know we can, on the copy that we get, we can make notes ourselves on that copy, but I think that's kind of dangerous to do. I think it's better to take a printed copy and make your own notes,
Yeah, it's probably better.
you know, rather than trying to do it all electronically, because I think, Doug, you did that, and I think some of your suggestions are in this.
Yeah, it could be. I just went through and did in a edit mode.
Right.
Sent some thoughts to
And I think maybe some of them are incorporated in the blue section
Could be.
that they made.
And some of it was just editorial type comments.
Sure.
And now it will be handled by Jason as far as
Right.
the redo.
Well, what I would suggest, he's gonna send something out, is you ask him to print out this most recently formatted one that has crossed off to June 2022 on it.
Is it large enough to read?
With a magnifying glass? Yeah. Well, and it was interesting too, because I got this clean copy.
But that print, it looks like this print would fit on that.
Well, the problem with this copy, when you do this, the page numbers don't line up.
So we have to pick one.
Well, I would go
Which
with,
would be the new one?
go with the one that has changes, proposed changes and stuff, because this just has everything incorporated in it like we're gonna do it, and we're not, so. I have a couple of general comments. Actually, I think we probably, do you guys have any paper ones at all? Or you have access to it, to look at? We stopped at the appendices, and I think we can go through the appendices today, maybe. But I have a couple of general comments that we need to do. And maybe you can write this down or remember this as you're looking through. They went, I don't know if you remember at our last meeting, but in one of the copies, they had taken out all of the numbering system.
Yes.
Okay, in this new copy, they have put the numbers and the small letters back in to the body, but not in the table of contents. But the other thing is, they need to go back to the numbering system that was in the original plan, because there are half a dozen or more references within there. Go to section Roman numeral 2, letter A, number 2. Well, they took out all the letters, so, and I said that at the last meeting, I don't care what you do, but you've got to have, if you're going to reference sections, you've got to have a way. They're referencing sections that it's not that way. So we need to go back to the lettering system, and they need to get it back in the table of contents. Makes no sense not to. That was my one general comment about that. They also, in the body of this document, took away a lot of thes. And I know that's kind of legalese, like the town, the harbor master, the renter. And they're very inconsistent in where they appear and where they don't, because they leave them in sometimes and they don't sometimes. And I'm trying to figure out, why did you take it out in one place and not another? And I know in a lot of legal contracts, they leave them out, but I don't know, Rexanne, do you know with contracts why you say the sometimes and why you don't?
I know it is a current trend to be doing things like that.
I don't like it.
It was not something that was done when I was actively practicing, so I don't,
Well-
but it seems to be a trend. I haven't seen anywhere that it's been made official as a way to do things.
Well, the thing about it is it's inconsistent about where it happens and where it doesn't. So I think we either use
agree.
them or we don't.
I
think,
agree.
If I may, yeah, I think you just need to be consistent, but I think it's just an issue of grammar. Like if you define the town of Fort Myers Beach with the word town, then if you say the town, it's like, grammatically, it's like saying the town of Fort Myers Beach.
Okay.
It's just pure grammar. I think.
So maybe we need to go back and define it as what, well, they define the harbor master as the harbor master. So then, I think that's a valid explanation, Doug, but they're very inconsistent in this document. And they define it as the town. So then are you saying that you wouldn't say the town?
Yeah, you might say town will do X, because town means the town of Fort Myers Beach. Harbor master will do harbor master duties, it's just grammaric.
Okay.
I think it's the only reason. I think
Well-
you can go either way, but.
I'm okay with going either way, but it needs to be consistent then, but it isn't in the document. So that was something, and maybe as you read through it, you can kind of see what I'm talking about. Also, the renter, the plan, all of those. We still need to have, which will happen, I think, at the end, that we have to have ordinances and provision numbers checked. I also, and we can't really do this until we're done with all our changes. There's a lot of punctuation and stuff because things have been cut and pasted, that when we get all the wording finished, we're gonna have to go through with a clean copy and look for punctuation, because, and we can't, I was going through and putting in commas, taking out commas, periods and stuff, but the problem is until we get the wording done, we can't really do very much with that.
If I could make a suggestion to you,
Yes,
the committee could delegate that to you to meet with someone after you've done
After
all your
we've done it.
changes. They could delegate to you to make corrections that don't have any meaning but are purely clerical in nature.
okay.
And that would probably be a lot easier for them
Then
to
for all of
delegate
us
it
to
to
do
you
that.
after you've gone through it.
Good, and that's a good suggestion. Delegate somebody, whoever.
You're the best record keeper.
Well, I know I'm sometimes a stickler for grammar and sentence structure and stuff, but it bugs me, I guess, a little bit. Okay, does everybody have a copy that they can see?
Yeah, I got one.
Because the one thing we have not finished, which I think we should finish today, is the appendixes. And because we stopped there last time.
So if we
So
can finish that with.
let's finish that
then we can start
today,
from the beginning
and then we
again.
can start from I can send the changes from that. Though I don't think that there are very many changes with that. But at least we can start. Okay, I got to get my my correct copy here. I have too many copies. Somewhere is the one that I'm working with. Here, I can give you this one, if you want it.
For today, and then
She copied that for me, and I really don't need it, because I have myriads of copies here.
have we covered the materials in the citizens' email that come in? Have we already made decisions on those?
We have
matters?
made some, but we have to go back to it.
Okay.
That's in the body of the work, and we've discussed most of them, but we have to go back through all of that body again, because in this new copy, there are some of the changes that we made, but there's some new language that we never discussed.
If some of us were uncomfortable, can that be revisited?
We will revisit it, not today. What I wanted to do today was get through the part that we haven't even touched.
I
And
think I got
then-
the citizens copy just yesterday. Is that when?
Last
everybody got
night.
it? Yes, last night.
Last night. I read through it very quickly this morning. I haven't really had time to really look at it, but we've talked about several of the things that are in that already. Okay, Appendix 1. Okay, there are three, under letter B, there are three new sections in here. And that you probably don't have in yours because it's the new copy, but Ted probably does. It's page 18. Do you have page 18, Ted?
Okay, well, let me give it back to you so you can talk from, okay.
No, I don't need it. I have it.
Oh, okay. Yes, I have.
Okay. Okay, this is in the duties of the harbor master or designee. And you probably, Sam, have, do you have letter B?
I have, oh, here we go.
No, you don't have.
Yeah, B, specifically.
Okay,
yes.
there's enforces provisions, provides administration, assigns mooring spaces, monitors and controls mooring field traffic, provides overall assistance, prepares and maintains various records or reports. Okay, there are 3 new ones, and Ted, you should have them in blue. Do you have them?
Before inspect.
Yes, there are 3.
Before inspects boats. Okay. The way this reads is it says enforcement of rules and regulations, notices of infractions, reporting to law and environmental enforcement agencies, maintenance of log of enforcement actions. Okay. It reads completely different than any of the other sentences. What it said, what the intent is fine. But what I think it should say is, instead of enforcement of rules and regulations, it should say enforces rules and regulations, because you're talking about what the person is going to do. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Then, comma, gives notices of infraction. So I'm adding a gives in there, because, again, it's an action he's going to do. Comma, reports to law and environmental enforcement agencies, comma, and then instead of maintenance of log, maintains a log of enforcement actions. It's the same, it's what it is, but it's what the person does instead of the way that sentence is written. Does that make sense to you guys?
I would agree with that.
Okay. Appendix 1, enforces. Okay. Now, the second sentence that's new says, plans and works with the town it should be manager, and director of public works to maintain and train a staff adequate to perform the functions of the harbor master. What I would suggest, first of all, you've got to add in the manager. I would say train and maintain rather than maintain and train, because I think you train the staff first and then you maintain it. I mean, I would just switch the words. That's a little thing. But I would take out the word adequate. I would just say they would train and maintain a staff to perform the functions. I don't think adequate is necessary in there.
That's understood.
It's, yeah, I mean, they have to do it, right? Any problem with that? Okay.
No, I'm good.
All right, and then the rest of this, okay. Now, everybody should have inspects boats and moorings, I think you have that. The little proposal I had was just, it was and maybe I don't need to do this now, but it was a grammatical thing, there's a lot of ands in there, and I was gonna take one out. It says inspects boats, moorings, dinghy docks, and adjacent facilities for adherence to established safety regulations. I would take out that and then just say for the purpose of preventing accident or injury. Okay? As I think that's okay, so I will do those little changes.
Take that and down for sure.
The bottom here that says oversees operations of the sales office, does everybody have that? Okay, in red it says at the end, they've added to that sentence, to the finance department. That they're going to prepare and submit bank deposits to the finance department.
Oh, they're not allowed to deposit it themselves?
I don't know. Should we question that?
I can tell you we are having changes in financial procedures around here as a result of suggestions from the auditor.
Okay.
I don't know if that is specifically one, but I know that that is happening.
Of
So
financial procedures?
Financial procedures have been changed over the past few years as a result of suggestions from the auditor,
Okay,
the outside auditor.
okay.
How about
So,
submit,
so it makes sense to me that that could be why this has been added.
Okay.
how about submits bank deposits according to town policy?
I'm not going to make suggestions. Your committee writes this, I don't want to, I'm just trying to explain to you why something may have happened.
Well, essentially, probably everything financial in the mooring field, all that stuff is going through the finance department right now.
Seems fine. I mean, that's where it's gonna go. We're always gonna have a finance department.
You know what, I'm just going to ask about that.
Okay.
So, this is all page 18 on mine. Overseas financial department. Well,
We can just update according to policy.
yeah, we'll look at that. I'm just gonna ask about that. The end of this, I didn't really see anything on the end of the list. There weren't any suggested changes to that. Okay. The one thing about Appendix 2 is this is the rental agreement, which we can't do anything with this because it's all the wording from the harbor management plan in the rental agreement. So until we have the management plan done, we can't even touch that. So there's really nothing to do there until we finish the wording of the management plan. So we're at Appendix 3. Which is sanitation regulations. And I'm on page 24. I have to read through this first one because I have a question mark on it and I'm not sure why I do. So, number 1 says, all vessels mooring in the facility must contain a U.S. Coast Guard approved marine sanitation device as required, complying with the requirements of the Coast Guard governing the installation and use of such devices upon the particular vessel involved. And I'm not sure why I put a question mark there, but does anybody have a question with that?
Makes sense to me.
Okay. I guess maybe I crossed off the word as required because they kind of say that in the rest of the
Yeah,
sentence.
the second part says.
Complying with the requirements of the Coast Guard. And I think that's what I did, was after it said contain a U.S. Coast Guard approved marine sanitation device, comma, complying with the requirements, because it says required twice. I think that's what I did, was I crossed off as required,
I would agree with
because it was redundant, I
redundant.
thought.
One goes with the, what is required and, to be there, and the other is maintaining it.
Yeah, one's a device and one's the procedures.
So you think we should leave the as required, the first one?
I think you could leave it in. It might be repetitive
Okay.
and redundant, but.
It's not a big deal. It just, okay. So the approved device is required, and then you comply with the requirements with the installation and use. So it's different requirements. Okay, that's fine.
I think you can leave it.
That's good. They're essentially on this page, it looks like they're just capitalizing facility instead of just lowercase facility are the changes. In number 2, they capitalize facility. Number 4, they capitalize facility, because they've kind of done that through the document. And number 5, they capitalize facility. I had a question on number 6 in the all vessels are required to have their tanks pumped out at approved pump-out station or by the mobile pump-out unit every 3 days, unless an alternative pump-out schedule for the vessel is approved by the harbor master based on holding tank capacity and vessel usage. I don't know of anybody that's being pumped out every 3 days.
Especially people that aren't here.
Well, he can approve another schedule. It says the schedule, it says unless an alternative pump-out schedule. For example, my boat is a wet stored boat. We don't get pumped out every 3 days. But my point is, Austin has sat here and told us his pump-out schedule. Monday, it's even number of boats. Wednesday, it's odd boats. Friday, it's makeup. Well, that means they're getting pumped out once a week. So why do we have 3 days in here? Except, I guess he could say, I've made this alternative schedule. So I don't know what you guys think about that. I don't know that we need.
I think you have to give him teeth to say, you haven't been pumped out and you've been here.
Right. There is a section in the main body of the thing about when you get here, you have to be pumped out fairly soon. But this is just saying they're supposed to be, essentially, if you're pumped out every 3 days, you're pumped out 2 or 3 times a week,
Well,
and they're not.
And we're not even available
We're
to
not,
do it.
no, so,
but I think he has to have a way to go in and say, this boat's in trouble and it's time to do it.
but he does, because he can have an alternative schedule.
Maybe we should have, but I think some language, and maybe not 3 days, maybe once a week, but that all boats will be pumped out some amount unless, and this is to encourage, that their pump-out schedule is established with the harbor master.
Well, we'll do something with number
I
6.
feel like leaving it in there is useful because it covers a basis that then they can make the schedule different.
Well, yeah, I mean,
But-
the only thing I'm questioning is, there's nobody that's being pumped out every 3 days.
Well,
And
that's
maybe
true,
it
but
could be
it,
once a week instead of 3
well,
days.
Why don't we put that to
I
the side
strongly
and
think
talk
we should
to
keep
Austin
it in
and
there.
coordinate with him
because
on that one?
it's a lot of.
So that what we put in, he'll be able to live with, and he can have some input.
Well,
maybe.
it has to be left in there that he can make an alternative
Right.
schedule.
It's just a
And I'm
matter
not
of
questioning that at
Interim
all.
days.
But he says, this is the schedule unless it's alternate. That gives him authority to say, your boat's gotta be pumped out. Because there are people, I'm not gonna be here
Yeah.
and so forth.
I
and so on.
understand exactly what you're saying,
Yeah.
but I'm just saying 3 days has never happened.
Well,
So I'm just questioning whether 3 days is really,
If we change it to a week, that gives.
I don't
them-
want to change it to a week, because I know if you've got 2 or 3 people on a boat, a week isn't enough.
yeah.
I know that. But then there's an alternate schedule that he can make for that boat.
But he would end up having to put down what that schedule is and all that enforced. But if he has this to fall back on, I just strongly think it.
Okay, well, I don't want to do anything with this. I think this is something we might talk about at a different time, or whatever, but yeah. Okay, number 7, again, the capitalized facility. Number 8 is a grammatical error that it says the use of shoreside shower and laundry facilities are encouraged. It should be the use of shoreside shower and laundry facilities is, because use is. It's a grammatical thing. Anybody have an issue with that? Okay, 8 is, okay, 9 doesn't have anything suggested. The is was mine. I ended up reading through everything, because the first time we went through, I didn't read everything, but I went through everything. Okay, Appendix 4. I didn't see anything on number 1 or 2. And I didn't, in number 3, all I saw in there was renters should be capitalized, because it is everywhere else in the document. They have, they didn't really have a change. They had, I don't know what you have on your thing. It should be, the end says at renter's expense. I think they added an apostrophe in there or something. But I think renter should be capitalized in that, because it is everywhere else. That was my one change on number 3.
It's capitalized in mine.
Oh, is it capitalized in yours?
Mine it is, yeah. So they must have changed it back.
That's not, though. Those 2 aren't. I mean, the whole thing is capitalized.
Oh, okay, the whole thing.
The whole thing are, because all the way through the other
Right, because
document,
all the
everything is,
proper
renter
nouns
is,
are-
yes. That was my one thing on there. Anybody have any problem with that?
No, that's good.
Appendix 4, that's number 3. Renters capitalize, all letters capitalize, both times. I didn't see anything else in there. Okay, why is this? Appendix 5. I didn't see anything in there about the, again, they need to check, make sure that the phone numbers are correct, but, number Appendix 6. I'm not spelling this right. Renters should be capitalized in number 1 again, all letters. Right? Anybody have any? Otherwise, checking phone numbers, that's in number 1. Okay. So, what I would say is everybody needs to get a copy of the one I just gave to Ted.
The June 22.
It says, and not a clean copy, the one, because the clean copy isn't going to help us, that has the formatting, the red and blue stuff, and
I believe the copy that Chelsea emailed us,
is that.
I would just did it, if you look at it one way, all the edits are done, but if you click on the right button, it'll put back all of the edits that were made in the colors, like you.
Oh, okay, so it
So
has
you-
both on there.
Yeah, so I think, I just noticed that, so if you take a look at it and click the right tab, it'll show all the edits that have been made,
Okay,
and the names of the people that made the edits,
okay.
so that's kind of handy.
Well, yes, as I said, this copy has some of them done that we talked about already. And then it's got new stuff that's in it, which may be suggestions that Doug made or other people have made that have gone in there, because there's red stuff and there's blue stuff, and so, the couple of things that I still have issue with, as I was going through and looking out at it, is that, well, the one thing, which is on the section about, what page is it? Oh, the monthly, the weekly, transient, weekly, and monthly rentals, which is on page 7 of this copy, I think. I don't know what page it is for you. It's under rules and regulations, I don't know, probably 6, 7, 8 page or something, where it stipulates the stuff about transient, 1 to 6 days, weekly, 3 weeks or less, monthly, 4 weeks to, they've put in maximum 6 months. Well, it isn't and hasn't been since the mooring field started, because we have wet stored boats. What's been happening for some years now is that you have a 6-month contract, and then you sign a new contract as a wet stored boat, which is fine that we have 4 to 6 months, but it isn't a maximum of 6 months for a wet stored boat, because nobody's living on the boat. So I don't think adding that word is a good idea. They want to add maximum, like you have to leave. And there are certain boats, I mean, we know that the transients have to leave after 6 months, but it's not all the boats that are leaving after 6 months. So I don't,
Just need to word that more clearly, that
yeah, 4 weeks to 6 months is what's been. And they want to add maximum, but that doesn't address a wet stored boat, for example.
So some kind of wording that, and I'm not as experienced with it, but like contracts are 6 months and renewable or something like that.
Something.
6 months
I mean, we can,
Yeah.
it hasn't had that word in there, which worked. Yes,
Under what circumstances are the contracts renewable? In other words, if you have a 6-month contract, is there any situation where you cannot?
if your insurance lapses or you aren't following the rules.
Okay, but then there isn't a requirement that somebody move out at the end of 6 months,
No,
even if they're living there.
no.
Okay.
Well, we have 10 liveaboards that are granted by our land lease.
Yeah, okay.
And they have to be renewed, I think, I think they have to be renewed every 6 months as well, that they, make sure they have insurance, make sure everything's up to date, and they have to reapply for it or whatever. I don't know exactly the situation, but then the wet stored boats too, we signed a 6-month lease. You can pay a month at a time, or you can pay all 6 months at a time, or whatever you want, but then you have to sign a new contract at the end of the 6-month period. And I think that's just so that they have information that's up to date and that kind of stuff. Make sure the telephone number, the credit card, all of that's up to date. And if it's not, then that's a reason to terminate a contract, essentially.
It appears that some marinas have quit extending liveaboards, and I just wanted to be sure we were not part of that within our 10.
That's what our land lease says. Now, other people's land lease may say they can't have any. Ours granted us 10. And so we have the grant for 10, but no more. So if we have more, I don't know if there's a waiting list for that or not at this point, but our land lease definitely grants that. So, but others may not. So, and I don't know what their land leases are. That was one thing to look at. And we still, this is section about rules and regulations governing mooring and other activities in the mooring field, and it's number 4 under that. And on mine, it's page 11.
Page
But
9.
is it page 9 for you? That they want to add, no markers or dinghies shall be left by renter as a placeholder, and we can't do that. Case in point, yesterday, we had to take our boat over to Gulf Marineways and have it hauled out and put back in the water.
Without your dinghy.
Without our dinghy, but we were gone for an hour and a half. Now, with a waiting list of 30 boats out there, and on Tuesdays, Austin's not out there on the boat. You can't see the mooring field from the office. The office is closed after 1 o'clock in the afternoon. I'm not gonna leave my dinghy on the boat or on the mooring ball to be gone an hour and a half.
I think we should have a discussion about this whole issue, because when you pay for something and you're renting it, you should be allowed to leave it empty if you're paying for it.
Well, I do know from experience when we had our boat in
Unless
Waukegan,
you have
Illinois,
other arrangements.
they could rent out our slip when we were gone.
When you make arrangements and set a time.
Right,
frame.
like if we were gone for 2 weeks,
Right.
they can rent it out. And that's okay here too. If you're gonna be, like when we've cruised here and we're gonna be gone for 2 weeks, if they rent it out and it's going to be available when I get back, I don't really care.
But like you said, if you go out around the corner and,
Yeah.
and something happens where you need to come back,
Right.
there's,
Also, if I'm going to the dock to get water for an hour and somebody's on my ball, what am I gonna do? I think somebody could sue us about that for breach
it's
of
a safe-
contract.
and it could become a safety issue.
Yeah. Well, there's nowhere to go now. It's really a problem now because the mooring field is full. When it wasn't full, it wasn't so much of a problem. We actually had somebody take our ball one time, and we moved to the ball next door. Well, that wasn't such a big deal, except, we had ourselves set up with the tackle that was on the ball. But, you had somewhere to go, but people don't have anywhere to go now. So, and the idea that I couldn't leave my dinghy on the ball to go out for a sail for the day and come back, I'm not gonna take my dinghy with me for that. So,
Is it okay if you just take off the last sentence then?
well, that sentence is what they wanna add. That's never been there. And,
As far as the temporary leave, it mentions more than 3 days.
yeah, and I don't really have not now.
Okay.
I don't have a problem with that, as long as you're making arrangements. And that's been in there before, you know, the 3-day thing or whatever. But, anyway, so.
I still don't like, I think we should revisit this.
Yes.
That it slows down a little bit, if it slows down, because we're gonna have the same issue, and at some point, we are gonna have somebody that's gonna have a problem. They're gonna leave and have no place to come back to, and maybe be under sale
Well,
only or something.
and my husband talked to somebody at Cruisers Appreciation Day that it happened to them. That they came back and somebody was on the ball. And I don't know, he urged the person to talk to one of us, and I don't know if he talked to either of you guys. Didn't talk to me, so,
And maybe we can.
but it's happened, so.
Maybe we can see what everybody else is doing, because I guess other fields are doing this. According to Mike, I think some other people were doing it, and maybe he'd have some input. You guys have been at a lot of places that either are doing it or not doing it.
Yeah,
think
I don't know.
Mike mentioned that someone was.
Well, it would be a different thing if we had somebody out in the field all the time. Or like at Sarasota, when I've moored there, you can see the transient mooring.
Not like a parking space, it's a little more.
Yeah.
A little more custom.
Yes. So those were a couple of things just to note in here. But we still have a lot of work to do in the front part of this document, so, anyway, I would encourage everybody to, it's not gonna be done in June. I'm not gonna be here next meeting in May, so I don't know, you know, if you have a quorum. I don't know if Greg has left for the season yet, because they have somewhere up north, and I know Mike has. I don't know about Bob, but I am here in June. But you guys can go ahead and work on this document too. And if you're gonna have a meeting, then I can send you my notes of where I
I'm
am.
thinking we probably should just save it for when you're here.
So, are you guys here in June?
I'm here year-round.
Okay.
You're down, I know the specific.
I mean, it matters not to me if you guys wanna go ahead
I
too.
think we need your guidance, because otherwise, we gotta do it again, so.
Oh, well, not necessarily. I mean, I think I've been on this committee since 2007, and this is at least the third time we've gone around revising. Ted, maybe you were here on the last revision, and Sam, that we did some time ago. It takes months, because I don't know how many we went through. I mean, you do it, you come back, you hassle with all of this stuff, and it just takes a long time. So, and that's okay. I mean, you want to get it right, so. And then once we kind of get it, we have to check to make sure that it corresponds with, I think the last time we did it, because we redid the contract at that time too, you have to make sure legally you can do it with the legal department, and then you have to check with all of the land leases we have with the state, and all of that stuff to make sure it fits in with everything that we have to do with them. So it takes a while to get through it. Okay. So, member items and reports. Doug, do you have anything?
No, ma'am, I don't.
Ted?
No, I don't, except are we going to address citizens report, or we have to put that on the agenda, the email?
I haven't had a chance to read it since we got it last
I don't
night.
think we have to do anything with it. It's stuff to us that we did not talk about that section of the harbor management plan.
And we will?
Oh yeah, and we're not done.
So we can use that as information when we do the harbor?
If we want to.
Yeah.
I mean, we don't have to.
You can comment on it anytime.
Yeah, well, I just found some things that I agreed with, some of which were addressed today, and so.
I would just like to
It's still
say,
in the system.
I would like to know who the person is.
Well, yeah.
I kind of dislike anonymous emails, but that would be my comment about that. Yeah, I to your point, we've already discussed some of that stuff, actually. When we went through the body of the report, we already talked about that. And that was actually one of what we were just talking about right now, was part of that.
Yeah,
we've already kind of talked about some of that. Some of the things in there are not possible because of our land lease that we have.
Right, but
So,
we've already talked about most of it that was important.
Yeah. Sam?
I have a couple things. First, regarding the tropical shores, there's some people here, and maybe Rexanne could confirm this. According to the last meeting, the town did not apply for the grant to build the building for that particular purpose, even though they own the property. Is that accurate?
That's accurate.
Okay. And they, Mr. Abramoff, he wants an update. I'm not sure we have any kind of update other than what the town is planning or listening to their meetings. So that's all that I know, is that they did not apply for the grant this year. However, they are going to be discussing the property in upcoming meetings.
And I have had no discussions with anyone regarding the property since that vote.
Okay.
Do you have anything?
Yeah, raffle tickets, did everything come out? Can I throw these away? Was that
Yes,
all?
please.
Okay, that was, and the other thing I wanted to say was, best welcome package ever. I don't know if anybody noticed, in the welcome package, there were bicycle lights. Those are the best lights to put on a necklace, especially the red one, for chart light, to not blind you, for a night light, for night chart light, to be walking around your boat. I bet everybody got back to their boat and they finally realized, like, we don't have a bike, but we need a chart light at night. That was a nice little gift package. And, what else?
And those are for sale from the town if you want extras.
Oh, they are? They
At
have,
a very nominal cost.
great. I think that's it. I guess I'll be running the meeting next time. You're not going to be here for the next meeting?
If you're going to have one, yep.
Okay. Oh, well, we can decide that.
Yep.
Upcoming.
But you can have it, and did you say you wanted to table the harbor management plan till June then?
Yeah.
Or
which
you can
means
choose to take a break?
Maybe we don't
and
need
then-
maybe we don't need a meeting when it
Yeah.
comes up to the,
I mean, depends. I
That's
mean,
all.
you can if you want.
that's all for my.
Okay, addressing also the building as well. And just for an update for the committee, because I don't know if Sam watched the meeting with the town council, but I tried to give a kind of an overview of where our committee is. And I gave a timeline because there's been a lot of stuff that I've heard was we hadn't done our homework. And the first time that we talked about taking something in-house was September 2018. And I have stacks of paperwork of us going through, talking about possibilities, talking about places, doing pros and cons, because we have done our homework and we have given recommendations to the council. But I did want to try to say that I tried to take everybody's views on this committee into account when I gave that, because I think we have differing views on this committee. And I didn't want to skew it the way that I feel, because I think there are people that wanted Bayside, there are people that wanted Harbor House, there are people that wanted to keep it at Matanzas. We've had a lot of different viewpoints on it. But also to address, we haven't met since then. We have sunshine laws that we can't discuss that amongst ourselves. And so we have no updates because we haven't done anything with it. So other than the vote that they decided not to apply for the grant, that's where we are. And I think Sam is correct that there will be discussions coming up probably in this committee and in town hall to do the next step and whatever, but there's no update. So that's kind of where we are. Public comment.
Good morning, Helen Gray, Ball 23. First of all, the cruisers party was great.
Good.
My only disappointment is I didn't win any of your raffles.
Oh.
I can do a little bit better.
We always hope.
Just a couple of things so you know. Twice I've had squatters on my ball.
Okay.
One time, the gentleman refused to move, and so I got assigned to another ball. And the second time, the guy very gracefully went elsewhere. First time, I used to put a fender out on the pennant. Someone stole it. So now I put out a milk jug. Oddly, no one has stolen that yet. So anyhow, and then on the pump outs, I will only offer, you can't be every 3 days unless it is every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Because if you just do Monday and Friday, that's already 4 days. So it's about waste management.
Sure. Understood.
Anyhow, I just wanted to say that, so.
I appreciate your comments about that. That helps us to know, as we go forward as we're working on
Yeah,
the plan.
you know, and most boaters are courteous about it, but when you're full, they're like, well, where do I go? And I'm like, I can give you the harbor master's phone number, but that's like the best I can do for you, because I don't know.
So you've had issues with not being able to be pumped out enough?
Oh, no, I get pumped out plenty.
Okay,
But if you're gonna require every 3 days, no one can do that unless it's every Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, because
understood.
Monday and Friday is 4 days, so.
Yes.
Okay,
But you've had issues with day sailing where you didn't notify the harbor master and somebody took your ball.
Okay.
so, yeah, it's like I said, it's only twice, but
Twice in what period of time?
well, I've been here for a couple of years. The one was just earlier this year.
Okay.
And that's when you were 100% and you had 48 boats on the
Right.
waiting list. The other one was a couple years ago,
Okay.
a year and a half ago. So.
How do you see the quotes pump out every 3 days? Are you thinking that somebody has to be pumped out even if they don't need to be at 3 days? In other words, there's some people who might be very attentive to their thing. If there's somebody not, I don't know how else one could sort of enforce the pump out.
It's about managing waste. I have two 18-gallon tanks on my sailboat. If I'm on it a lot, then obviously it fills up, and I know because the head develops an odor. And then I can also tap on the tanks. So I can say that Austin and the guys working in the mooring field office are very flexible. And it's like, sometimes I can't be out there on a Monday, but I can be out there on a Wednesday. I know we need to pump out, so I get out there. And even though it's an oddball and it's an even day, they're cool about it.
Yeah.
I think if I understand what you were saying was with the schedule the way it is, it doesn't work to say 3 days because there's a gap in there that doesn't work.
Yeah, our language in our plan doesn't fit the
Actual schedule. And that's what we're trying to do is to make our plan
Would
work.
4 days work?
Well, I think it would be better 4 days because then you can actually fit the plan with the schedule, is
Well-
I think what you're saying.
I think the important thing is to leave it flexible with
Right.
the harbor master.
Yeah.
Because
Yes,
I'm at least once a month, but sometimes 3 times a month, depending on how much I use the boat and how, I'm very stingy with,
well, that's already addressed, actually, that he can make a schedule depending on usage of boat. That's in our plan, in another space.
but whether or
So-
not you would want him to monitor each and every vessel. And I know they keep a list of when they pump vessels out.
Yes.
But from an administrative standpoint, do you want someone in the office to go through the list and say, they're 7 days and I think they need a pump out, and then they have to hook up with someone on the boat to do the inspections or whatever? To a certain degree, I think you have to rely on those boat owners to schedule those pump outs accordingly, so.
Thank you. Appreciate it. Anybody else?
You gonna start the meter? Thank you. I'll be quicker than that, though. Larry Abramoff, again, member of the Tropical Shores Neighborhood and Benevolent Association. I was looking at the budget here, and I was wondering why there's no line item for rent paid for the mooring facility. Also, whether this budget gets audited, and also why there's no line item for depreciation. I see they've just recently bought a Ford Maverick pickup truck to move some skiffs around on occasion. Of course, I wonder why they can't use another town vehicle, because plenty of them I see here that are capable of using that, and it's just a short temporary transport. So that's just a few of the questions I have related to the financial report that was given to you today. I also wonder why the town is in the wet storage boat business. Why aren't those boats moved to a dock or somewhere, marina, instead of the town doing that and not having space for the transient boaters that come through? So it's just a few of the questions I have. Thank you. And thank you, Sam and Catherine, for addressing my original question.
All right. Do you guys want to meet in May, or do you want to wait till June?
I think we can wait until June unless anybody has any pressing business. That way, everybody will get a chance to look over management plan. Kathy will be here for it to lead.
Anybody?
I'm okay with you.
Okay, that will be June 15th.
June 15th.
Double check that.
I will make sure that, and we can take off CAD. Well, no, we need to leave that on because I need to get the questions answered about where we are and maybe make a report. Chelsea won't be here, but maybe we can get a report about those questions. Here. Yeah, June 15th.
June 15th.
Okay. Anybody have a motion to adjourn?
Sam Lurie, I move to adjourn.
I'll second.
All in favor? Aye. All right. Did we get a copy of the minutes today?
We got them online, didn't we?
Yes.
Yeah. Well, because usually I have to sign
Oh, you have
it,
to sign them.
but I don't see a copy, so I'll put that down on what I have to do.
Turned off the mic.
Are they still on?
Yes.
Thank you.